All right, welcome to Reddit for Beginners here at the Iowa City Public Library. And I'm happy to introduce Bond Drager as our presenter. She's a senior library assistant in the IT department, and we think of her as our AV librarian because she does all of the video editing and tech stuff like that. So we also want to congratulate Bond because she just earned her Master's of Library and Information Science degree. Just like in the last few days. So you are going to listen to a newly minted librarian tell you all about Reddit. Here she is.
Hi, let's see if I can share my screen, the classic thing to start out with. And we're going to do that. And hopefully you're seeing a slide that says Reddit for Beginners. So like Stacy said, I work in the IT department here. I have been using Reddit for over 10 years, probably. I think I was using it in maybe 2008 or 9. And when I looked it up, that was pretty early in its existence. At the time, I didn't think I was early to it, but apparently I was. And I've seen a lot of shifts over time in how it works and everything, how the site works. But Judy, if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt me, or if you have any personal requests on how to use Reddit, please jump in. But I will go ahead and get moving. So this is a picture of what we kind of call colloquially old Reddit. So this is kind of what Reddit would have looked like in maybe 2014-ish. You can see it's a pretty basic website. It's not very like cluttered with pictures and things like that. It's pretty rudimentary in its design. And that was sort of part of the culture of Reddit. So the front page of Reddit sort of bills itself as the front page of the internet. So it's meant to be a place not necessarily where you find things that are just on Reddit, but really a place where you can find everything that's happening on the internet in one place. And I think of it really as a good place to kill time, a good place to get lost in a question or something you didn't even know you were curious about until it gets put in front of you via Reddit. So this is a picture of Reddit from yesterday. I took this screenshot yesterday. This is a desktop computer view of what Reddit looks like. This is the homepage. And so you can see that it's changed quite a bit over the years. And the main thing that has changed is it's more designed for a mobile environment now. You can see that there's a lot of gray space on the sides, and that goes away when you shrink the screen down to a narrower phone or tablet screen. So that's the big shift that Reddit has made. But you can see it's still a pretty simple design there. Okay, so it is a social aggregation site. So all the content is user created or crowdsourced. So it's up to the users to create the content that fills in Reddit. And we'll talk about different types of content in just a second. Submitted content is either upvoted or downvoted by users. And those upvotes and downvotes are referred to on the site as karma. So if you get a lot of upvotes, you have a lot of karma. And if you get a lot of downvotes, you lose karma. Karma really doesn't mean anything other than bragging rights. But a post that has been upvoted a lot and has really high karma will get pushed into higher up the news feed, so more people will see it. And vice versa, downvoted content is seen by fewer people. So really the users get to vote on whether content is worth being seen by people or not. And so here we have the types of Reddit content. So things you will see on Reddit are text posts. You might see images or videos, and you might see links to other sites. Text posts and links kind of look the same, but you'll see that if you click on a text post, it takes you directly to that post, and then you'll see the comments of that post. If you click on a link post, it will take you away from Reddit to the link. But a link post still has comments on Reddit that you can also read. Now, one of the most exciting parts about using Reddit, and kind of one of the advantages of it compared to other social media sites, is the subreddits. So Reddit is divided up into these little communities based on areas of interest. So they can be really tiny and niche, or they can be very large and have a couple million joined users in each community. Some subreddits are really active, and some Reddits are not so active. When you first create an account on Reddit, you are given, you are automatically subscribed to some default subreddits. You can leave those default subreddits. You can then add, you can join additional Reddit subreddits that weren't in your defaults after you have an account. So the default subreddits have changed over time a little bit. So many of them are some of the most active subreddits because people are automatically subscribed to them. Our Science is an example of a really active subreddit because it's been a default subreddit, I think, the entire time that Reddit has existed. So each subreddit has its own rules, and each subreddit has volunteer moderators that are users in that subreddit that make sure people aren't posting things that aren't allowed based on the rules of that particular subreddit. Okay, user accounts. So many people like to browse Reddit logged in because if you browse Reddit as an anonymous user that's not logged into an account, you will get just default or popular posts on your front page. But if you create an account and join some subreddits that you're interested in, it will really personalize your feed. The usernames are usually not your real name. Most usernames are pseudonyms or handles. Some people do use their name, but then you also have to remember you're not anonymous if you post or comment. Especially if you join local subreddits, you might even encounter people you know. For example, there is an Iowa City subreddit. So if you are posting and commenting on the Iowa City subreddit with your real name as your handle, you would encounter people you know, just like on Facebook. Even if you're using a pseudonym or handle as your username, people still might figure out who you are based on your comments. So it's something to keep in mind. All right, so on the home screen, you can choose how you want to view your newsfeed. So unlike Facebook, for example, which just has one option for your newsfeed, Reddit gives you multiple options. So when you're logged in, you would automatically go to home, which shows you popular posts. Basically, highly upvoted posts get shown first, from a mixture of your subscribed subreddits and your default subreddits, which you're also connected to. You can change that at the top, and I'll show you that screen in a second, from home to popular. So that basically shows you the view of a logged out person, where you just see content from all over Reddit, not just your niche subreddits, whatever is the most popular right then. You can also click on just an individual subreddit. For example, I'm subscribed to our quilting. So I can go to just our quilting and I can see only posts from our quilting. So each piece of content is a post. And again, those posts can be a text post where you just type in a headline and then the actual post content, some words. Or it could be an image. You can add words to that image. It could be a video. You can add words to that video. Or it can be a link to somewhere else on the internet. Each post has a comment section, and you can change the sort order of those comments. And that is another interesting thing that happens on Reddit, is changing that sort order. So these are all the sort options. I know that's a lot of words to kind of go through, but generally my favorite ones to use are, I like to use either hot or best, which are very similar. It's just the popular high karma posts or comments. What I really like to do is go, if I'm at a niche subreddit for the first time, like if I just remembered like, oh, I used to play the trumpet in high school. I wonder if there's a subreddit for trumpet. And there is. If I went to trumpet for the first time, that community, I might sort the posts by top and then all time. Because when you sort by top, you have to choose the time frame. So you can get all the top posts from just the last day, week, month, year, or all time. So if I want to see the posts that have received the most upvotes in the trumpet community across all time, forever, the very best content, I would sort by top all time. And for me, that's kind of like saying, okay, trumpet community, show me what you got. Let's see what is happening on trumpet and getting really high upvotes. And usually in a niche subreddit, that is going to be a mixture of something called memes, which if you're not familiar with memes, those are just visual jokes. Think about like a New Yorker cartoon. It's a similar thing. You know, I get an idea of what that community is doing, what's popular on that community. It'll be a mixture of the memes and then also some really high value content, like a text post that has, you know, these are the 10 most important things to do when you start playing trumpet. That might be the kind of post that would be really highly upvoted, just a really good post that's really interesting to read for somebody who's interested in that topic. Rising is also a sort option that's worth talking about because sometimes there's new information happening in a topic, and that's something you're interested in. If it's a topic that is really new and changing, that can be an option. But something to think about is the different sort options. Sometimes I accidentally sort by new and I'm like, the comments are weird, what's going on? So I have to make sure I'm resorting by hot or best. That's usually where I stick around, is hot or best, just the most popular comments or posts. Okay, so let's talk about Reddit culture. So the internet as a whole has a culture, and different social media sites definitely have their own culture. And Reddit is not an exception here. The user base skews male, young, and left-leaning politically. When I say young, I mean like teenagers. Generally, the Reddit users tend to be in that demographic, but that doesn't mean that there aren't many people of all ages and cultures on Reddit. There are certainly people retirement age and up who are on Reddit. It's common to see them. They're just not the dominant demographic. One of the really popular subreddits is just called Our Teenagers, if that is helpful to understand how it works. Because that user base skews male, teenager, that can explain a little bit of some of the language that you might see on Reddit. There are some things that happen that might seem offensive if you're not part of that culture and really aren't meant to be. There's kind of a running joke. Here's an example of this. There's a running joke that some people's usernames are really offensive terms, like really gross, something a teenage boy would think is really funny. But then that person might be making really serious, important comments. And then, somebody else will respond like, "You're right, user, insert something really gross here." That is true. So that's common. There's really gross stories. There's gross terminology. Now, Reddit is not as dark and horrifying as some other parts of the internet, like 4chan, 8chan, some of these places that you may have heard of before. Reddit is more heavily moderated than those places. So local community moderators do tend to keep things pretty good. The big one that they really crack down on is harassment of users. So you can certainly say something really gross or tell a story that is maybe perceived as offensive, but if you were to harass another user, then that is really frowned upon in most parts of Reddit. So generally the community is fairly safe, and they have a culture of reporting dangerous or harassing issues. But it is a community that has a bunch of teenage boys in it, so appreciate accordingly. But like anything, there's parts of it that are kind of kooky and some parts that aren't. So different subreddits can look and feel very, very different from one another because they are communities within Reddit. So there's a lot of acronyms and inside jokes utilized on Reddit. And here are just a few really common ones. Explain Like I'm 5 is its own subreddit. There is a subreddit called Explain Like I'm 5, and it's a really interesting subreddit to just browse around and spend some time, because people will create a text post that says ELI5, and it means Explain Like I'm 5, and then they'll ask for an explanation of a topic. It might be like, explain like I'm 5, how do calories work in nutrition? And a scientist will come on and try to give an explanation. And then in the comments, the best explanation will get more upvotes and be at the top. Ask Me Anything is another really common abbreviation in Reddit. And it is also its own subreddit. There's a subreddit called AMA. And Often celebrities come on AMA to do question and answer sessions. Barack Obama did what's called an AMA once, and it basically broke Reddit for a little bit because so many people were trying to load the site. That was in maybe 2015-ish, I think. I'm not sure at all. Yeah, and it's a pretty popular subreddit, but you can use those terms in other subreddits too, and people would know what you were saying. And then you have OP for original poster. So that's something that might be in the comments, like OP didn't include the right link in their text, but here's the right link. And so that's just a way to refer to the person who posted something. Today I Learned is also its own subreddit. There's a subreddit called Today I Learned, but it's also an acronym that gets used a lot throughout the site. Not safe for work is a label that is put on content that you might not want to open around children or in public. There's another one that's similar called Not Safe for Life, NSFL, and that's a label you don't see much, but it is content that is so bad that you might not want to see it just for your mental health. So that's why they call it Not Safe for Life. That's, again, Reddit is not as crazy as some places on the internet. And that might be a factor of just how I've curated my feed over the years. But I don't think that it is quite as kooky as other places, just because it's pretty heavily moderated at this point. It's not the Wild West. There's a lot of engaged users who pretty much keep things pretty dialed in. All right, let's talk about accessing Reddit in different methods. So you can certainly open the website reddit.com on a desktop computer and log in and view your stuff. You can also access it through a mobile device like a phone or a tablet. And on your phone or tablet, you can do it through an app or you can do it through a web browser. So you can go to Safari or Chrome on your phone or tablet and type in reddit.com and visit that way, or you can download an app in the App Store. Reddit has its own app that you can use. And there are other apps you can use to browse Reddit that have maybe more functionality than the actual Reddit app. But if you're new to Reddit, those are probably not necessary yet. That might be something you think about in the future. So this is what Reddit looks like in the Reddit app on a phone. I realized after I put this picture in that it's black, and that's because I keep my Reddit app in what's called dark mode. You can also have a white background if you prefer. I just think it's easier on the eyes to have it as a black background, but that's something you can change in your personal settings. But generally, this is what the Reddit app looks like on a phone. Now you can see that I've got the subreddit Today I Learned right there. I'm not subscribed to Our Entertainment, but you can see in gray font there right in the center of that it says, because you visited this community before. So that's something Reddit has been doing in the last year or two, putting things into your feed from subreddits that you're not subscribed to, but that Reddit thinks you would really be interested in. And then you can see there's a little join button there as well. Like if you really like this content, you might actually want to just join this subreddit and get that content all the time. And then the last post that you can see here is from the Succession subreddit, which is just a TV show that I watch. And I like it so much that I'm subscribed to the community related to that TV show. And then at the bottom, you'll see there's home, discover, create, chat, and inbox. So first, I'm going to talk about the very top of this screen where you see the 3 bars, home, and then the search. And then we're going to talk about the bottom panel. Okay, So earlier we talked about changing your home screen from home to popular, just to switch between a feed, the home feed, which is subreddits you're subscribed to, and popular, which is all the subreddits. So that drop down there is where you can do that. The button on the left that is 3 bars, if you tap that, that pulls up access to individual subreddits. So that's a helpful button to think about as well. On the right, you see a magnifying glass, and that's where you can search for something on Reddit. So if you want to search for a subreddit, or if you just want to search for something specific, that's where you can do that. And then that icon on the right, that is my profile button. So I could go to that and see my comments that I've left, my posts, things like that. Now, this is what you see on the bottom of the screen in a mobile view. So you have home, discover, create, chat, and inbox. So the home screen is your feed. And if you have it sorted to home, you're going to get all the subreddits that you're subscribed to. And if you have it sorted to popular, you'll get just all popular posts from across Reddit. Discover is kind of a new thing. That is something you can tap, and it will take you to different parts of Reddit that Reddit thinks you are interested in. So new content that Reddit thinks you might be interested in based on how you've engaged with content in the past. The create button is where you go to make a post. So if you want to start contributing content to Reddit, that is where you would do that. The chat button takes you to a place where you can chat in real time with other Reddit users. And inbox takes you to where you can see your private messages, which is a thing you can do on Reddit. You can privately message other users. And it also shows you comments on content that you've created. So if you make a post and somebody else comments on it, you'll get a notification in your inbox there. Okay. I left plenty of time for questions.
I think you did a very good job of covering the material. I'm very interested to learn about Reddit that way. So I don't think I really have any questions though.
Okay. How do you usually browse Reddit?
I don't browse Reddit. I just thought, well, what the heck? It's something to do today to, be on Zoom with this. And
that is a really good attitude for a Reddit user. Honestly, the general attitude is on Reddit is not about doing anything productive, really. It is really about a good place to connect with people with similar interests, kill some time. It's kind of like going to the thrift store. When you go to a Goodwill, you can't go in there thinking, I need this specific item. This is what I'm looking for. You kind of go in with an open mind of like, if I see something I'm interested in, I'll get it. Reddit is very much like that. I'm going to open up Reddit and see what's interesting today. So I definitely recommend spending some time on there.
I do have a question.
I always like learning more things about technology and computers, and I wasn't familiar with Reddit at all, so I don't know, it was just handy, just a nice introduction.
Yeah.
So I just put the app on my phone while you were talking because I've only ever used it on a desktop before. And I've only gone to Reddit like, I don't know, 8 times ever. But it wanted me to sort of show my interests again. Like it had lots of options for me to choose from. And so I just joined a whole bunch of subreddits. And my question is kind of, what's the right number? Am I supposed to sort of be going to all of them actively, or just let it all feed in to my?
Yeah. At one point, and this was years ago, I know that your newsfeed would only show you about 50 subreddits regularly. I don't know if that's still where the algorithm is, but I do know that if I don't engage much with content from subreddit, it kind of stops showing me those.
Okay.
I can still go to it. I'm still subscribed. But if I stop clicking on those posts and reading the comments and stuff, it kind of slows down on showing me that content.
Okay.
But again, you are probably subscribed to the default subreddits too. Like an example of a default subreddit that I have left was our gaming, just because I am interested in a few specific video games, but our gaming is a huge, massive community. And the posts were just about games that I'd never heard of and didn't care about. So I ended up leaving that subreddit. But I am subscribed to our Animal Crossing because I'm specifically interested in that game. I think pick a few that you're really interested in at first. And then I do have kind of multiple accounts. This is like maybe advanced level. Like I have one that's really subscribed to a lot of library stuff. And maybe that's not something I want to browse in my free time when I want to kill time, but I do log into it occasionally and like look at stuff.
All right, cool. Have you ever thought there should be a subreddit for this topic and I should make it? Is that thing that crosses your mind?
Oh, a topic that a subreddit doesn't exist for?
Yeah.
Well, what happens a lot is there are topics that there are subreddits for that are inactive. So if the users aren't there, Reddit doesn't work. Another term that you hear on Reddit a lot is lurking. Yes, where somebody goes and reads all the content and reads all the comments, but they never actually participate. And I think most people do that. But Reddit really works when people are engaged and submitting because it's a crowdsourced thing. So the more active people are, the better. So some of those bigger, huge, massive subreddits are popular for a reason because they have a lot of content. And because of the karma, you know, when you have this huge volume of interesting posts and then people tell you these are really interesting posts, you really get good, interesting information at the top. So that's kind of how that works. I don't know if I've ever, a long time ago, I thought, I'm surprised that celebrity gossip is not a thing on Reddit because it seems like something that would lend itself really well. And just in the last couple of years, there has been, and I remember searching for it and there was nothing, but just in the last couple of years, there's been a subreddit become really popular that's about celebrity gossip. So it ebbs and flows. I don't know if there's something I wish there was a subreddit on that doesn't exist. There is an Iowa City subreddit. It's often posts about, I need to sublease my apartment. Who's the best apartment manager? It's gotten a little better lately with just kind of general Iowa City goings on and happenings.
Thank you. Well, this might be a good moment to just remind people that if you have further questions about Reddit or really anything else in the whole universe, that the library—
It is the front page of the internet.
Right. The library's info desk is there to help guide you to sources like that or help you check the truthfulness of something you saw on Reddit or anything like that. So remember that we're your backup if Reddit doesn't go smoothly.